That's what as Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. That has stood the test of time in any sport, and I will say this across all sports. If you have to rely on the refs to win a game, then it means that day you were simply not good enough to win. I don't care how many calls that the refs blew. Yeah, it was awful to watch that they missed so many calls, but you also have missed a lot of threes. There were a lot of open shots that were missed. A lot of possessions late in the shot clock where Houston was dribbling down and said, you know what, we're gonna take a shot with like 2 seconds to go, and it doesn't even hit the rim. I mean, they switch. The switches are so slow that Golden State has enough time to come back and realize, oh yeah, we switched. Let's switch back, and because they're not going to shoot it till 2 seconds left in the shot clock. So why bother? Why bother with the mismatch when we can match up very well? And that's what the Warriors are doing. And on the other hand, Kevin Durant, holy cow, he is going off, as we saw in Game 6 against the Clippers, going for 50, and then doing very well in Game 1, with a banged-up Steph Curry, banged-up Klay Thompson. It's just a dogfight of a series. I mean, it just looks really good. As Tom sends me a picture of his own kitty, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean his actual cat. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. That face there, just going on and on and on. I'm sure I'm just rambling. So Tom, what are your thoughts on this matchup and why? Like, and on a scale from 1 to ridiculous, how ridiculous is an audit to be submitted during this stage of the finals or this stage of the playoffs?
Stage of the playoffs, I'm not going to say it's totally ridiculous because of the officiating that actually happened during the past game. It's just a way that they're trying to dismantle. It's a head game, basically, when it comes down to it, because what they're going to be thinking of is, okay, the refs are going to be calling most of the way for Houston. And if it goes that way, then they're going to start thinking, oh, man, this is actually rigged. Houston wasn't supposed to actually get into the finals. What Golden State does. It's just trying to disrupt the dynasty that is the Golden State Warriors. Because let's be honest, they are an incredible team. They have built their team around Steph Curry, around Kevin Durant. They got Boogie. Unfortunately, Boogie, went down. But it's just the power play that I feel that that's what's happening right now. And James Harden is tired of losing, especially when he was with OKC and they were in the finals and lost to, was it the Spurs? No.
Wait.
It was to Miami.
Which team was it?
I'm trying to remember.
The Warriors?
When James Harden was on the OKC.
Oh,
they were in the
Warriors.
finals.
Or sorry, it was the Miami Heat. You're right.
Yeah, so he's tired of losing. He's been in playoffs. He's been in championships. He's been in the finals, and yet he still doesn't have a single trophy to his name. That's also the reason why he went to Houston. He wanted to be separate from what was happening with Westbrook, Kevin Durant. Make a name, say, hey, I actually am one of the great players. I am the one who will lead my team to a championship. And you've seen that over the past couple of seasons, if not more. He's been shooting 40-point games and basically taking it to the rim and just being an all-around player. His defense sucks. I'm not gonna lie there, but it's just that game. I feel James Harden's beard. Once he trims that, you know that the game is on. I feel like his trademark beard is the one that's keeping him down with the championship. And it might just be petty of me for saying that because it is a glorious beard. But Chris Paul and Harden, maybe they thought this plan up. Hey, there's too many fouls going on and they're not catching them. Maybe we should audit so that we can actually get the officiating crew to say, hey, they are. We should be letting them win. To be honest, I'm also skeptical about the officiating crew just because of what happened years and years ago with how they tried to, make things happen in the NBA. But I feel like they do need to define what some fouls are in the Warriors and Rockets rivalry in order to be a better association moving forward.
Look, those are great points you bring up, Tom, and you're not wrong because the Western Conference in particular has had its shady officiating. You can go back to the LA Kings L.A. not the L.A. Kings, but the Sacramento Kings versus the L.A. Lakers in that Western Conference Finals matchup where Tim Donaghy was calling fouls, or part of that crew that was calling ridiculous fouls on the Kings, allowing the Lakers to get back into a game in Games 6 and 7 where those weren't fouls. So shady officiating is you can question it because there is some precedent for it, and it is also, on the other hand, tough for the referees to make those calls because Harden exaggerates as much as any player in the league. I'll admit it. I'm happy to admit it. He exaggerates as anyone in the league. But when you don't get those calls, you still have to play the game. Again, you play to win the game. And I think, honestly, Harden does need to trim his beard, Tom. You're right. And you know, here's why. Because the longer he grows out the beard, the more I feel it's like that Lord of the Rings person. Again, I don't know. Basically saying that means I never watched the movie. But I know the one quote, "You shall not pass," because he doesn't pass the fucking ball. I know I swore on the podcast the first time, but he doesn't pass the ball. Like, he doesn't pass. And it annoys the crap out of me when he doesn't do that, especially late in the shot clock. And they have an opportunity to win this game in Game 2 to steal home court from the Warriors. And if he doesn't pass the ball earlier in the shot clock, they're going to go down 2-0, and it's not going to be a fun series for anyone. So, at least not for the Rockets. Because again, if they beat the Warriors, if the Warriors win, they're going to beat whoever comes out of the West in that matchup between the Nuggets and the Blazers. Obviously, living in Portland, I know that. And it's not going to be fun because they're going to spank them like 4-1, maybe a sweep in the Western Conference Finals. Like, this team is going to turn up and just play around with them. Maybe let them win a game just to take a night off. But yeah, they're going to win in 5 games, and then we'll see what happens in the NBA Finals. If it's not Boston or Milwaukee, I think they're going to just stomp all over whoever else they play, whether it be Toronto or Philly. Like, that's just the truth. And they're going to win another championship. And then hopefully Kevin Durant goes away from the Warriors because that team is just too stacked even by video game standards. I'm just ranting today, Tom. I just need a rant. I think that's just maybe it's the beer talk. I don't know. I mean, I've ranted before.
Yeah, I think you need another beer.
Mm-hmm. Well, the problem with this one is just it's really good. By the way, again, Wicked Cider Company, Baked Apple. They're not paying me for any of this, obviously, but I'm just saying, hey, thank you, Wicked Cider Company, Baked Apple. We appreciate you. It's really good in the summer, and it's really good in the wintertime when it's really cold. And it's kind of pouring that in a mug, and it's kind of putting some lemon in it. Oh, it's so good. Oh, man. And then obviously, Tom, your birthday's coming up. So is there any beers from here in Oregon, obviously beer country, IPA USA, that you want to bring me out to? Do you want me to bring you an IPA, or do you want me to bring you something else?
Yeah, bring me out an IPA. That would be nice, because you know what I have here sitting in my fridge waiting for you to get your butt over here to drink.
I have
is Mad Elf.
I'm so excited. And for those who don't know what Mad Elf is, it is like it's tasting Santa's
sweet cherry.
Oh man, it's tasting Santa's stick, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean that look, it's like his candy cane. It is beautiful. It tastes like Christmas every time you drink it, and I'm so excited because I haven't had it in about 6 years, 7 years, 6 years. Yeah, because remember the last time I had it, I was living in Elizabethtown.
You had it with me.
No, did I?
Last year. Yeah.
Did I? No, I couldn't.
I saved you a couple of bottles.
Did you? No, that would.
I had 3 bottles. We both had one, and then we shared the last one.
Did we? Oh, see that's
we did.
You're so nice.
I can't believe you forgot about that. We shared a bottle together.
We drink so much together, though. I always forget for some reason I will remember this occasion more than the last one. Because I don't, but again, that's probably makes sense because as we get older, my memory kind of goes away.
Either that, or you could say you live in the present. You don't look at the past. You don't look at the future. You're just there, man.
But
you're just there.
But the last time I drank these, because again, they're really high volume. It's like what 10-11%, if I'm not mistaken. Like the last time I remember apparently having these was back in 2013, and I had 3 of them within a span of an hour and a half, and that was not good. because I ended up messaging people from high school that I didn't talk to, and I was like, "Hey man, what's going on? I haven't talked to you since high school." I was that guy, and now I understand why people do that, because they're drunk and they're stupid. Which
you wanted to hook up?
No, actually, it was all like dudes. It was all like I wasn't even trying
Once
to.
Again, he wanted to. Hook up.
Oh man, no, that's so funny. No, I just was like trying to reconnect with dudes who I knew who were like I was okay with. Like I wasn't like tight with them, but we had a good relationship. Just kind of hung out and just kind of talked about sports a lot, which is one of the reasons. And one of the dudes I messaged was one of the reasons why I got into writing in sports in the first place. We were in a yearbook class together, it was a newspaper class, and I was like, "What do you want to write about?" I'm like, "Sports." Like that's the only thing I know. I'm like 13, 14. I don't know anything else. All I've done my whole life is watch about sports. I don't know nothing about girls. I know nothing about the news because I didn't care at that time what's going on with the news. Fashion's irrelevant to me, and as you can see by my dress, how I dress anyway, and just like sports was the one thing at that age that I 100% knew. Like I knew stats about some weird statistics about the 04-05 Atlanta Hawks that were by far the worst team in the league at that point. And that roster is one of my favorite rosters of all time because it's just absurd the amount of talent that was on it and the fact that they did not do well. So that was just obscure stuff that I remember from that time. But I reconnected with different people. We talked for a little bit, and I eventually called them. Like actually drunkenly over like I was like, "Hey, what's your number, man?" And he's like, "Here you go." And so I called him and talked to him for like 20 minutes, just hanging out. And that was a good time. And it was a really good time. It kind of reminds me like high school wasn't. I would say it wasn't as great of an experience as I had, but I know I could have had a better experience. Tom, what was your high school experience like?
Yeah. So if we get into that, I can say for certainty that it wasn't like I was there. I was there to get my education. I made some friends. I think I only speak to 2, maybe 3 people only from then. But other than that, I have pretty much forgotten anything and everything about it.
Yeah. No,
I don't really care about it.
That's fair. Yeah, I only have one really good friend now who's my longest friend. We've been friends for since 2005, so 14 years. I think that's my longest friendship, I would say. And we talk every now and again. We try to. I think the problem with me, I'm just a bad texter, or just a bad. Like I do so many things on a weekly basis. Like my day starts at 4 a.m, so then by the time I'm done, I'm like, I don't have time for anything. I just want to relax, watch TV, do the podcast stuff, do writing stuff. And then by the time I'm like, it's 8 o'clock, I'm like, I don't have time to be social or do anything, at least during the week. So I just kind of forget to connect with people, which again is a problem for me. So, but yeah, my high school experience was, I think, roughly the same. I mean, I was dating someone at the time where I invested, at that point, again, you're 14, you just invest all your time in that relationship because you're like, oh my God, we're going to be together forever and it's going to be special, it's going to be great. And then it really wasn't. But the one thing I know was really good was playing soccer. That was hella fun. Being a starter on varsity, that was fun, and then just kind of hang out with a good group of dudes and getting as far as we did in the playoffs, that was exciting, and kind of being a part of that was one of my favorite highlights. And then being the first in my family to graduate from an American high school, that was a great experience, just to say, hey, I did this and I was the first to do it, which is something that people necessarily can't say all the time, so it's kind of cool doing that. And then of course the recruiting, kind of going through that process was kind of fun. But outside of that, I mean, I didn't do too much because I was in the relationship for so long. So a lot of my friends I had to give up, or I didn't have to give it up, but it just naturally ended up being that way. But yeah, that's just a lot to talk about for high school. Tom, we're about at an hour mark. Holy crap. It's a lot. We'll take a short break, and Tom, I'm just going to defer it to you when we come back, because what the hell is wrong with the Red Sox? I think that's a big question. kind of looking at these standings here. How the hell is Seattle so good? The Pacific Northwest, I mean, that's pretty incredible.